Next big thing, CSI March Group 2. And here are the group members that are in this project. Chad Husick, James Burgett, Richard Crawley, James Krupru, Nick Gulish, Jamel Clopton, and your group leader, Cody Carlson.
Hello everyone, this is James Burger on The Next Big Thing, CSI March 2013. Now what I believe to be the next big thing is how music is repeating itself. Vintage sounding recordings are becoming popular. People are using the old tape machines and the old mixing consoles like they used back in the old days, and not using all the digital equipment that's available today. Take the Foo Fighters, for example. Their latest record, they recorded all to tape. They didn't use any digital instruments, any Pro Tools, any Logic, anything like that. They all had to play in real time. And it gave it that vintage sound. It sounded more dirty and not as polished. A lot of new bands today aren't coming out with new polished records. There's a lot of haters for Nickelback for having that, and they're on the downfall right now because of that. And bands like Black Keys and a band called Airborne that sounds a lot like AC/DC and Foo Fighters, they're banging up there because they're recreating that old sound. Another thing that I noticed is that people are putting their albums out on vinyl, which is really cool. Our generation didn't grow up with this, so this is all new to them, and they're wanting to. This is interesting to them, and it's cool to have that vintage gear, record, whatever you want to call it, sounding record. And I believe that the old sounding records is going to be really big in the next coming years.
You used to be able to go see excellent movies like The Godfather, where everything about it was top notch. Acting, action, story. But things change. Then movies like Star Wars and Jaws came out. Don't get me wrong, they're excellent, but they're also blockbusters. And once blockbusters came around, studios no longer cared if the movie was good. They wanted it to do good. But just because a movie does good, doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Even Megan Fox said acting takes a backseat to the action robots in movies like Transformers. And critics also agree that it's not the greatest. You used to sit down with your family and watch Beaver's Family on TV. That used to be the end of it. But later on, shows got more advanced, like Seinfeld, where they used to have callbacks, references to earlier episodes where, if you watched it, you got an extra inside joke. But there were also hour-long dramas, like House, that were all one-offs. Someone would get sick at the beginning of the episode, and they'd be magically healed by the end of it. That wasn't enough for some. Some wanted a serialized story, and stations like HBO and AMC answered, with The Wire and Breaking Bad. And with movies coming out on DVD, people can watch the stories at their own pace. That's a great thing, because who doesn't want to see Walter White at their own leisure time? Netflix helped out a lot of people by doing that, sending the movies to them whenever they wanted to watch it. They're reviving some TV shows themselves, while also creating more, like House of Cards. Only whenever they release it, they don't release one episode a week. They release all 12 episodes at one time. That's the future. Telling a full story at one time, but let people watch it at their own pace.
You may have experienced a virtual roller coaster ride before. You and a handful of others enter a small theater, strap yourselves into what appear to be racing chairs, and as the short film plays in front of you, the seats move to simulate motion. Hollywood wants to bring that technology to the big screen. CJ Group, the South Korean firm currently working on installing these 4D seats in test markets around the country, insists it isn't building theme park rides and says theaters with its equipment offer a much richer movie experience. When you sit in one of these seats, as the action occurs in the movie, your seat will help you feel not only the simple motion, but to pull you into the intensity of the fist fight, the jarring of the spaceship crash, or the sensation of being with the hero as he rides on horseback. In a way, the next big thing is a bit retro. from the buzzers installed into random theater seats for the 1959 horror film The Tingler, to both John Waters and Robert Rodriguez using scratch and sniff cards in movies. Hollywood has always tried gimmicks to bring people into theaters. This new take on an old trick couldn't have come at a better time. Attendance for 3D films, which began to slip last year, reached a record low with Brave, which took in only about 32% of its total ticket sales from 3D. With interactive becoming the trend in tech today, 4D movies are definitely set to be the next big thing.
This is the next big thing. Hyperstealth is a Canadian camouflage company that has outfitted millions of uniforms and military vehicles around the world. On October 19, 2012, President and CEO of Hyperstealth, Guy Kramer, released a statement saying that they had discovered a light-bending technology they call quantum stealth. Shortly after releasing the statement, they came out with a mock version of the technology and released images to the public. Quantum stealth is a technology that makes the target with the material on it completely invisible by bending light waves. The Canadian and US governments have also verified that this technology blocks out infrared and thermal heat also. This technology could be used in many scenarios, from hiding vehicles behind enemy lines to a sniper laying in an open field, scouting out the opposing forces. Special forces and counterterrorism units would also benefit from a technology like this when moving in dark, heavy enemy areas. Overall, this is a breaking news not only for development of military forces, but it shows that technology will always prove us wrong.